Hello everyone, I'm here with the next presentation from the chapter Flamingo NCERT Going Places by A.R. Barton. About the author, A.R. Barton is a modern writer who lives in Zurich and writes in English. In the story Going Places, Barton explores the theme of adolescent fantasizing and hero worship. The introduction of the chapter. The story revolves around a teenage girl, Sophie, her family, and friends. She is a daydreamer who is always lost in her dreams of becoming rich and sophisticated, though in reality, she is a worker at our biscuit factory. The story suddenly twists up when Sophie makes a wild imagination of meeting Danny Casey, a famous footballer. She also makes a story in front of her brother that Cassie will come to meet her on a week's day, as per a promise he made to her. So let's move on for the explanation of the chapter and see the whole story in detail. The story begins with a conversation between two teenage girls, Sophie and Chancy. Sophie lives in a world of imagination, whereas Chancy is totally opposite to her. Sophie imagines of owning a boutique one day, a place where she can sell fashionable clothes. Chancy feels that it requires a lot of money to open up a boutique. She also tells her that it will take her a long time to save that much of amount. To this, Sophie replies that she will work as a manager and when she'll save enough money, then will work on opening up a boutique. She is interrupted by Jancy as she tells her that nobody is going to hire her straight up to a managerial post. Sophie changes her plan and decides to be a fashion icon like Mary Quinn. She also adds that she will have the best boutique shop that no one has ever seen in the city. Jancy is a realistic person. She knows that in reality they are just workers at a biscuit factory. On hearing Sophie's thoughts, she becomes sad. When they reach Sophie's street, Jancy tries to explain the reality of their life. She tells her that they don't receive much at the factory where they work. She also tells that her dad would not allow her to leave the job. Sophie, on the other hand, is still lost in her dreams. She says that she can also be an actress as it would earn a lot of money. She also wants to run a side business of boutique as she thinks that actresses don't work full time. When they reach home, Sophie enters into her house and turns the door. Chancy is left alone in the rain. Sophie is still murmuring the same sentences that if she will get money, she will buy a boutique. Someone in the house teases her that if she ever has money, she should buy a good house for her family. Sophie's father was eating a shepherd's pie. His face was unclean and dirty and sweat. Her younger brother Derek said to her father that Sophie thought the money grew on trees. He also felt that she was not realistic. Her mother, who was busy with her work, took a deep breath. Sophie noticed her working in the kitchen. Her mother had stooping shoulders that were bent forward. She had tied an apron on her back, which was bent and not in the right shape. Maybe she looked so because of the heavy burden of the work on her. It was turning dark and messed up with litter, and the house was too steamy. Sophie felt uncomfortable, so she went up to her brother Geoff. Geoff was in the next room, sitting with bent knees on the carpet. He was repairing some parts of his motorcycle. He was a trainee mechanic who had left his school 3 years ago. He had to travel long distances in search of work. Sophie was sometimes doubtful about his brother as he didn't speak much about his life. Therefore, she always imagined about the way of life her brother led. She was so jealous of her silence because she wanted to know about the places that he used to visit. She thought that they could be some distant places of the city or maybe some countryside. All these thoughts were so captivating because they were far away from her reach. Sophie imagined about her brother's personal life. She thought that her brother never spoke about his life, but maybe he knew some non native people who were very interesting. Though she knew that her brother didn't have many friends, still she felt that it was possible that he might have some special friend. So sometime she wished she could become close to her brother so that he could take her out with him. She knew that her father would never allow her to do so. Even her brother considered her not big enough to go outside. But she was growing impatient and wanted to go outside as she believed that she would be comfortable there just like in her own city. So she imagined herself riding with Geoff, wearing a shiny black jacket, and she wearing a beautiful yellow dress with a stole flying behind her as they would ride his motorcycle. She dreamed that people stood up to welcome her by clapping when she rode with her brother. Her brother looked annoyed at the oily part of the motorcycle that he was handling. He was trying to make it work, but all his attempts were wasted. Sophie said that she met Danny Casey, a famous football player. Her brother suddenly looked at her and asked her where she met him. She said that it was in the gallery when she saw him. He didn't believe her and asked if she told this to the father. She did not approve of her brother's question as she wanted to say that he must know that it is the one with whom she shared her secrets. So she began a story that she was at Roy's boutique and was looking for some dresses when somebody came and stood behind her. She turned and found him to be Danny Casey. Her brother asked her about his appearance. She told him that he had green colored eyes and was not as tall as she thought him to be. While both brother and sister were in this conversation, their father entered the room. He looked clean and shiny as he had taken bath. He switched on his television and sat on his chair after shifting Derek's shoe from his chair to the sofa. As he sat in his chair, Geoff told him that Sophie had met Danny Casey. On hearing this, he turned towards Sophie. He looked at her scornfully because he couldn't believe her. Geoff once knew a man who had known Tom Fanny a long time ago. Tom Fanny was a legendary footballer. He took his name with great respect. Geoff agreed their father had told us earlier. They were discussing football players. Father said that he thought that one day Cassie might become as good that Cassie was as Fanny. Someone among Geoff and Sophie replied that Cassie was better as he was very talented, but their father did not agree. He said that he was very young and as there were so many diversions for a young footballer, he might work hard. Geoff did not agree and said that he was with the best team and the best player too. Meanwhile, Sophie said them that Cassie was going to buy a new shop. Her father looked at her angrily and asked her as to from where did she get to know this. He doubted it to be one of her imagination. Her brother interrupted and said that she met him. Her father warned her that such things could lead her to trouble. She then tried to justify herself by saying that Geoff knew this and trusted her. Her father replied that he did not believe her, although he wanted to. Geoff's rooms were full of pictures of footballers. There was a picture of Cassie also. who has been described as a young Irishman with exceptional qualities. Sophie told her brother another secret of her, but on a condition that he would not tell this to their dad. His brother did not want to believe her but listened to her because of her undue strength. She then told him that when she met him, it was she who started the conversation by asking him whether he was Danny Casey. She also asked for an autograph for little Derek, but as both of them didn't have any pen or paper, he promised to give it in their next meeting. Her brother did not believe this as he was doubtful of what she was saying. So he picked up his jacket and left. Sophie wondered if her brother did not care about his looks much, though he should be doing so because he was tall and handsome. On Saturday, Sophie, her father, and two brothers went to see the football match of the favorite team, United. It was a regular thing for them because they were all huge fans of football. Sophie, Derek, and her father stayed near the goal, and Geoff went up higher with his friends to see the match. Team United won the match with a score of 2-0. The second goal was made by Cassie, and he did it with such perfection. Everyone was happy. Sophie was so happy that she glowed, and Geoff was excited. Sophie's father went to the pub after the match, and so she brought her brother Derek back home. Derek told his mother that this time Ireland would win the World Cup. Sophie was inquired by Chancy as to what was she telling everywhere. Sophie surprisingly asked her the reason for asking her this question. She then told her that her brother Geoff told Chancy's brother, Frank, that Sophie had met Tenny Casey. Sophie got angry because she had never thought that her brother would disclose her secret. She was worried because Chancy had the habit of sharing secrets with the whole neighborhood, which she didn't want to happen. Sophie got angry with Geoff's behavior. Sophie explained to Chancy that this was her secret and she didn't want to share it because then people would line up outside their house and ask about this. Her dad would kill her on this. Chancy got surprised to hear this. She said that she thought that her father would be happy to hear this. But Sophie told her that it was not so and the continuous noise of the neighbors could disturb her mother too. She realized that Jancy was not aware of each and everything, so she felt happy that her brother did keep some part as a secret. She then told her that she had met him and asked for an autograph but couldn't get it because of lack of pen and paper. She even tells Jancy that her dad did not believe her. Jancy promised her to keep it as a secret. After it was dark, Sophie went through a sheltered path along a waterway. It was far away from the noisy city. She used to play here as a child. She sat on a wooden bench which was under a long elm tree. According to her, it was the perfect place for lovers to meet. She sat there and started waiting for Cassie. She got lost in her imagination of Cassie coming to meet her. After a while, she realized that he was not coming and it was just her imagination. Many thoughts came to Sophie's mind. She waited for Danny to come, but he didn't come to meet her. She felt a deep pain inside her. She thought that people didn't believe her story. If Danny came, she could tell them that she was not lying. Again, she thought that it is not an easy thing to make everyone believe oneself. As so many thoughts were coming to her mind, she felt like many changes were taking place inside her. All this was very painful, and she wanted to leave now. Sophie became sad. She felt it to be very though, bear the burden that Danny didn't come to meet her. She had been waiting for him, though she knew that he would never come. She was also worried about how people would doubt her and disbelieve on what she said. She also thought that Geoff would beat hard against the door on knowing that Danny didn't come to meet her. So she is quite sad now. As she was walking back to her home, she saw her father's bicycle in front of the pub. She felt happy that she would not have to face her father on reaching home. While Sophie was returning to her home, she passed through the Roy's boutique. She again imagined meeting Danny Casey. She again tried to initiate a talk with him by asking him if he was Danny Casey and also asked for an autograph. When she asked for an autograph, they both realized that none of them had a pen and paper. She felt sad for her brother. When Cassie left, she kept standing there thinking of his sweet voice, green eyes, innocence, and his genius. Then her imagination took her to the football match she had watched with her family last Saturday. She imagined of Danny Casey striking the goal in such a heroic way that she felt an explosion on the football ground. She felt so overjoyed with the winning of the United team and with the heroic performance of Danny Casey, her hero. So, this is the story, and here is the summary for you to go through it. Thank you all.